Hey, Yankee fans. Welcome to Yankee Chatter, episode number 8. My name is Greg Andriano. You can find me on Twitter at GregAndriano05. This is my good friend up north, Brad McCormick.
Here you are. I'm Brad McCormick. I'm at BradChatter1 on Twitter.
Well, welcome back to the episode. You can find us on social media. Search Yankee Chatter, and we'll pop up. In this episode, we're going to talk about how the Yankees extended their big ace, Luis Severino.
That's right. Sevy's getting an extension. He's getting paid. He thought he was going to go to arbitrator, and instead he went home with a nice little piece of change in his pocket.
Nice little piece of pie.
Made Mama happy.
So, yes, on February 15th, the Yankees extend Luis Severino for 4 years at $40 million. That goes from 2019 to 2022, and he has a club option for 2023. This is all according to Joel Sherman. When it came out, it's actually the Yankees have made it official since then. Like Brad said, he was going to go to arbitration with the Yankees, but they were about $800,000 apart. So they just went ahead and signed him to an extension.
Good job on both sides to do that. Good job. Severino wanted to get paid, and the Yankees they wanted him to be long term and lock him up. And good job for those two to get together and do that.
Yes, this is fantastic because Severino just turned 25. Today's the 21st we're recording, so he just turned 25 yesterday on the 20th. So by the time this contract is up, he will have finished his age 30 season, which is great. The Yankees are going to get him to the beginning and hopefully the bulk of his prime years. So, kudos to Cashman for getting him at a good rate.
Yeah, he did. This is very similar to the numbers that Aaron Nola got, who was, I guess, in the same class as Severino. Aaron Nola had a little bit of a better season last year, but overall the stuff is about the same. And Severino, he probably could have got more if he just waited for free agency, or he might not have because the way free agency is going right now. So I think this is a very team-friendly deal, but it's also very good for Severino because he doesn't have to worry about all that junk that's going to come after his rookie contract's up. So. Yeah, this is great. Great news for Yankee fans as well.
So just so everybody's clear, what Brad means by team friendly is that this gives the Yankees flexibility to sign other players. A lot of these young guys, they sign huge contracts and they get a huge annual average of salary, and it kind of gridlocks or forces the Yankees to make smaller signings, or teams like the Yankees, when this actually gives them a little bit more payroll flexibility. So this is a great move by Cashman. Just so everybody remembers, Severino is entering his 5th season with the Yankees. Since 2017, he's kind of been considered their ace. He took that baton from Masahiro Tanaka, and he ran away with it in 2017 after training with Pedro Martinez in the offseason. They worked on delivery and mechanics, and he finished in the top 3 that year in the Cy Young voting.
Yeah, and it's all due to really the New York hated Pedro Martinez. He started working out with him in Dominican back home in between seasons, and he did something with his mechanics, man, and he just did not turn back. There was a time, Greg, if you remember, we sat in the bleachers at Yankee Stadium, sweating our beanbags off. They were passing out ice bags. It was so hot. And Severino was pitching, and he got shelved. And we're like, this guy he's just not going to work out. He's just another prospect that flopped. And we were so upset. I never saw this coming. And I mean, what do you think?
Well, the season before that, he was called up and he pitched really well down the stretch, and everybody was expecting so many big things for him. But then in 2016, like you said, he really struggled. And a lot of it kind of came down to his mechanics, whether or not he was tipping pitches, which is still kind of an issue. I remember that game because it was the night after, or 2 nights after, A-Rod's last game. So I think it was the 2 nights after, because the next day was when we went to Citi Field. And that was the same day that Aaron Judge and Tyler Austin went back-to-back. First time rookies have ever done that. So we were all pissed off because we thought we were going to see their first game, and we missed out on that.
It was also the game they retired Mariano's number, right?
Yes, that's the game we went to, was the Mariano Rivera day, which was way cool. But
it was cool until Sevy came in and just
Yeah, and right from the start, you could tell he was not comfortable on the mound. So he's made a lot of adjustments since then.
Well, he probably didn't know what time the game started, to be honest. So.
I don't blame him. I blame Larry Rothschild. He didn't know what time the game was.
Yeah.
So going back to Severino, in his first 4 seasons with the Yankees, he's got a pretty good 41-25 record. 3.51 ERA, which is pretty good for a young guy like that, and 572 strikeouts and 190 innings plus in both 2017 and 2018. Both those years, he looked like a lock for Cy Young. He was literally one of the best pitchers in the game. But one of his big problems is he peters out in the second half. He gets fatigued. He doesn't last as long. Which I think leads to him tipping his pitches because he's not feeling comfortable out there. So maybe you want to talk about that a little bit, Brad.
Well, when you get fatigued and you get a little tired, you stop concentrating on your mechanics and you're getting your head, okay, I got to get this curveball over. And batters can see that. They can see it in your face. They can see it in your mechanics when you're doing the same thing every time you need to get that curveball over the plate. So that's what's happening in the second half of the season. He says he worked out a lot over the offseason trying to build up his stamina. I want to believe him. I hope we can, but we're going to have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
As fans, we always seem to remember the bad instead of the good. So everyone is going to key on the 2 bad wild card starts he had. But everyone forgets how good of a start he had this past season in his second start against the Red Sox, actually. He actually pitched quite well. I think he pitched, 6 innings, I think he went, before he started, I guess, tipping pitches, so they say. Yeah. What I was going to say was he worked out with Pedro again this offseason, not Larry Rothschild. So watch your back, Larry. Watch your back because I think you're teetering on the edge of something here.
I don't know. A lot of people have a lot of animosity towards Larry Rothschild, and for good cause, because pitchers do seem to not perform quite as well after they come to the Yankees. Because I was very surprised that they brought him back after Girardi left. But we're not talking about Rothschild. I'm fairly confident he was the one that messed up the game time, and we'll just leave it at that. Pinning on him, he's our scapegoat. But like you said, he had to work on tipping his pitches because that was a big problem for him, and it's amazing how different his seasons were. The first half, he was literally lights out. He was phenomenal. Every start, you were getting 7 innings from him, and not only 7 innings, but one,
Cy Young
no
favorite.
runs. Yes, absolutely. And then all of a sudden, like a flip of a switch, he's not the same pitcher. So I will give him, and it's not really an excuse. Baseball season is a very long season. I could never make 30 starts. I could barely make one. My arm's barely hanging on after a wiffle ball tournament over the weekend. So
wiffle ball is the worst, though. Wiffle ball will kill anybody's arm.
Yeah. Well, we're standing 30 feet away from the home plate, and it felt like I was facing a 105-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
Because guys are throwing as hard as they can. But with that said, this is, in my opinion, a very good deal for the Yankees. Like we said, it's a very team-friendly deal, and you give him a chance to earn back, some of that Cy Young chatter, because he is capable of doing it if he can maintain it over the course of the whole season.
Right. So what happens now is, will the Yankees start doing this with other players? They're going to do this to Judge, to Sanchez, to Bird, Betances, Torres, and Andujar in a couple of years. What do you think? You think this is going to become a thing now?
I do, especially with the free agent market the way it is. These guys are getting a little scared of it. I don't know how it'll be once the new CBA passes in a couple of years, but up until that point, I think Judge's arbitration comes up next year, after next season.
It should be the year after Severino,
Yeah. So with that said, now granted, Judge is one of the faces of the Major League Baseball. He's one of the faces of the New York Yankees. You would think he would get a big time deal, but if I'm the Yankees, this could be your potential next captain. You want to lock him up, and you want to lock him up long term. Same if Sanchez bounces back, and this is a big year for Sanchez, and Bird too, but more Sanchez than Bird, and the fact that we know Sanchez is capable of having a big year. He's already done it. Last year was kind of a fluke. He was battling a lot of injuries. Can he replicate that really good season, or at least come close to it? If so, then if I'm the Yankees, I'm looking to extend him as well. I think his comes up before Judge.
It should be a year ahead. So
yeah,
maybe next year's Sanchez and following year might be Judge.
Mm-hmm. But you do. If I'm the Yankees and you're establishing your core, you had your core 4, core 5, core 6, or whatever during the dynasty years.
Right.
I think Bernie Williams and Paul O'Neill and even Tino Martinez get the shaft a little bit on that core 4 nonsense.
Oh, definitely.
Because they weren't homegrown players, but at the same time Bernie was, but Paulie
just earlier.
Yeah. So I think they get a little shafted on that in the sense. So with that said, you got your core, you got your Sanchez, you got Judge, you got Severino, and then potentially you have Torres and Andujar. If Andujar can hack it at third this year, maybe even Bird, if Bird can have a solid bounce back year and can show that he actually is worthy of wearing pinstripes. I'm the Yankees. I want to lock up my core, and I want to go to the playoffs every year, and I want to have the same guys out there, and I want to have another core 4.
Yeah. Well, it's good news for these players. I think it's going to happen because if you look back at that core 4 with the Yankees, they very quietly always got a deal done with him. Other than Pettit going to Houston for those few years, before that, and before Jeter's last contract, you never really heard contract discussions amongst the core 4. You never heard anything with Posada or Jeter or Pettit or you never heard anything about Mariano. The Yankees took care of their homegrown talent, and I really think this is going to happen again. Judge is going to be the captain. I can see him wanting to be in New Yorker for life. There's no way that they're letting him go. I don't even see him as a type that wants to test free agency. Sanchez, we have to wait and see. The thing about Sanchez, he's a catcher, and there's really not that many catchers in the major leagues.
No. So if he can hit a serviceable 250 or 260 and still hit 30 home runs, that makes him one of the best catchers in Major League Baseball. So if I'm the Yankees and he can do that, you lock him up, and you lock him up for a while. He probably won't be a catcher for a long time, but the Yankees have a couple good catching prospects that they drafted last year, and Anthony Siegler and Josh Bro. I think it's Bro. So if they can have Sanchez hack it for a little while at catcher and get these guys developed, then maybe the transition from catcher to first or DH is a little bit more smooth than saying, oh, well, now we're not going to hang on to him. Now we have to go find a catcher.
Right. And the one guy I'm concerned about is Betances, because I think Betances has the talent, depending on how he does this season. If he can keep it in the strike zone this season, he has the talent to be a closer in this game. I don't know if he's going to settle with the Yankees as a setup man. I don't know how much longer. Was Chapman have another 2 years on his contract?
I think so, yeah.
So I don't know if Betances is going to want to wait for that. We're going to have to wait and see. But he's the one guy I'd actually be concerned about maybe testing the waters a little bit, depending on how he does the season. You never know with Betances.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He could have a up and down season like he has the last couple of years, but it is hard to argue against how good of a pitcher he is, and how if he does have a good season, the Yankees should try and lock him up, even if it's not as a closer yet. Maybe they can not promise him, but say, hey, let's get an extension done, and this could lead to you becoming the next closer.
Right. They could say we're not going to extend Chapman. I don't think they're going to extend Chapman anyways.
He's been around for a while, and if he has the same injury issues that he had last season with his knee, then I don't see why the Yankees would want to bring him back after his.
He wasn't that unhittable last year either.
No, he struggled. He was throwing a lot of strikes and a lot of balls in the zone. So another person that you could probably keep an eye on is, and he's not necessarily homegrown because they acquired him in a trade. I think it was the Didi Gregorius trade. No, I don't remember how they got Chad Green, but Chad Green would be another arm to keep an eye on, possibly extending if he has another really good season. Probably you can get him big money as a setup man, but he could probably close someplace.
He could, and I always thought he could start too. I don't know why the Yankees never really gave him. I don't think they ever gave him a fair shot at starting, unless they did, and he just didn't work out in spring training. But I think the guy has the stuff to start. He came up with starter.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think they tried to do with him what they did with Java and Phil Hughes, and it really worked out when they did it with those guys until those guys left. Like Phil Hughes left to go to Minnesota, and he really wasn't that great of a starting pitcher after that. And now he's bounced around, and I don't think he played at all last season. He was with the Padres for a little bit, and then I think they cut him. And Jabba, who knows where he is now?
He's out of baseball, yeah.
Yep. So they do have the young players to do it. with Torres and Andujar, you need to see them play for a couple more years. They've only had 1 year, and you got to see if they're able to replicate that. Andujar has to improve on defense. If he can't, then I don't know if I'm the Yankees if I want to keep him around, especially if you can trade him and you got an aging Giancarlo Stanton, and even if you have Judge, you're going to want to get these guys reps at DH at some point.
DH, right.
So, and that was the big issue all throughout the offseason was whether or not they were going to trade Andujar, if they acquired or signed Manny Machado or Bryce Harper. And now he's kind of got the chance to prove himself. And this is a big chance for him. If he can hack it, if he can play the full season, get the errors down, and get his footwork better, he could eventually become the Yankees' third baseman of the future.
Right. But either way, at least Yankee fans, we know we have the ace of our staff now for the next 4 or 5 years. So it was a very, very nice little alert that came across my phone that day. The Yankees extend Severino. It was music to my ears.
I was worried because they were going to go to arbitration, and I don't want another thing to play out like Betances did a couple of years ago where they were so far apart.
It got ugly, yeah.
It got ugly, and you got Randy Levine saying things that you probably shouldn't be saying, and you don't want that to happen with Severino because if he is going to be your ace, you want to keep him happy. And they did just that.
Definitely.
So, anyways, with that said, that should wrap up episode number 8. Again, we talked about Luis Severino's extension. Good things for the Yankees to come. Stay tuned for episode number 9. We talk a little bit about non-Yankee stuff, but until then, check out our YouTube page and us on all of the social media platforms. Search Yankee Chatter, and you'll find us. We're there.
You'll find us.
You'll find us.
Thanks for listening, everybody. My name is Brad McCormick at BradChatter1 on Twitter.
And I'm Greg Andriano at GregAndriano05 on Twitter. Thanks again, and go Yanks.